Well, first of all, congrats on I mean, calling it a book, like I said before, doesn't do it justice. This massive project.
Yeah, thank you.
That I mean, it's funny how I found out about it was a text like I did another book. It came out real quickly. I don't know if you'll like it, but I want to send you a copy. And I was like, oh, another book already? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm down to check it out. And
Yeah,
then it showed up, and I was like, what? This is insane. And I think I
yeah,
texted you right away. I was like, first of all, wow, this is
yeah,
insane. Congrats. And I was like, it's gonna take me a while to like
yeah,
digest this before I even figure out, what I want to do and can do. So congrats. And I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about is, the packaging, just this tactile package
yeah,
and where the ideas came from, the inspiration,
yeah,
and just in this day and age of printed media, I think quality, is the way to go. I mean, who knows how the different, age groups, demographics are kind of
yeah,
consuming printed media these days. But I mean, like I told you on the phone the other day, I collect photo books just
yeah,
because,
yeah,
not even trying to, just because it's like, oh yeah, I want that,
yeah,
I
me
want that
too.
one. And this is, definitely one of the most impressive ones
Oh,
I've
wow.
ever owned. So
Well, thank you. I mean, I think if I was to get a little philosophical about it at the beginning, I would say that as someone who's like deeply entrenched and nostalgic, I really do value holding things. And and when it comes to making the books, when I say I, it's really we, with Alexander Hansford, who's, my art director and designer, and we all know Greg Hunt, who's my editor and creative director. And they both, Greg's really been in my archive for quite a long time, and Alexander has made these magic books. When I say magic, I mean literally card magic. He's an incredible card magician, and been making these magic books for years. And I'm have a very deep connection with the magic community in Los Angeles. Has some really close friends in it, which is how I met Alexander in the first place. But I think we all like this idea of something feeling special. And I think when you create, a package that has weight to it, has layers to it, has intent and design, you almost don't want to open it. Like I've had a couple skaters who I've sent the book to who haven't opened it. And I know that feeling exactly because there's something about when it sits on the shelf before you get into it that lets it hold this power like I have it. And I know when it's time, I'm going to dive into it because I think it is a little bit intimidating, particularly the 27,000 plus words in the soft cover. But you know, very early on, Ted Barrow had told me, you got to make this Embarcadero book and you got to do it now because this is about a year ago because they're going to get rid of the fountain. And so I shared a folder of images with him. And Greg Hunt had seen, I shared the folder with Greg as well. I said, Ted told me, we got to do this. Take a look. What do you think? And Greg immediately this is Greg's taste. Immediately, he's like, there's no words. It's got to feel like this personal document. I'm not trying to tell the whole history of EMB. I'm literally just showing who was in front of my lens and what was important to me at the time. And 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 Greg was like, it should just be hardcover, very special. And I just kept pushing back and being like, but I want to have words. I want to interview people. I want to talk to some of those skaters. And there's a Radiohead book that Colin Greenwood made about the making his photos of one of the Radiohead albums, and I gifted that to Alexander and I gifted that to Greg. So we're on one of our conference calls developing the book, and Alexander says, "Well, what if it's like the Radiohead book, hardcover with a pamphlet?" So the Radiohead book came in a slip sleeve. It was smaller format, felt really nice because it was smaller. You kind of hold it in your hands easier, and it had this little pamphlet that just had graphic design in it. No text, no photos really. It was just like design elements, almost, um the Stanley stuff. And it was like all of a sudden, it was like perfect. It was just like a lightning rod, like, yes, that's it. And then Alexander immediately developed a colorway, which was this brick color. And then he was like, what if we emboss bricks with a little fisheye to it for the cover of the hardback? Both Greg and I were a little taken aback by it at first, but then like very quickly it felt right. And then I had those old Jim Thiebaud paperback books, from when I was a kid, Do the Distance and all that. And those are almost cement or mortar colored. So right away, Alexander just creates this package of hardcover with just photos only, very minimal number of photos, and then the soft cover that's this mortar color. And right away, it felt kind of like the colorway of the bricks with the cement and that. And and then from there, I was really hell bent on enlisting some contributors of writers, so that the soft cover book really had weight to it from a literary standpoint. So sort of to round out answering your question, the design, it was very inspired. And then it was just like, I don't want, it is my, it is what I experienced, but I don't want it to be about me. I want to, like always, I want to show you my rad footage of these guys. I want to have essays that unpacks why it's important, and I want to have interviews with them. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so, I mean, it's amazing. And it's very much like, I mean, those years in Embarcadero from the time I came from, that's what I was just glued to it. And like when you see those video frame grabs with that vignetting and you can like see and hear the bricks, it's like we were saying the other day, it's like, that's what drives us to still go visit these old skate spots.
yeah,
And yeah, I just jumped to that Embarcadero roundtable interview. That was the first thing I wanted to read.
yeah,
It's incredible. And then Shrugi's interview was like, mind blowing to me because I'm such a
yeah,
skate nerd over the years, but those are stories I'd never heard.
yeah,
And it's like just a generation right before Mike Carroll
yeah,
and B&B crew is like,
yeah,
um, so yeah, it was rad to know Shrugi's history. Um, yeah, and then Kevin, to have Kevin Wilkins in there, like
yeah,
the same week that he passed is like cosmic, to have his voice in
yeah,
there, which
yeah,
takes us all back to like TransWorld mags in the early 90s.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it's a powerful package of books.
yeah. And
Yeah.
The Shrugi thing came out in an interesting way because in the roundtable, Rick Abbaceto was like, he just said, Shrugi sponsored Henry, and Shrugi started Real, and Shrugi had like specifically been in LA to see my heavyweight show, and he came for the closing, and he stayed like 2 hours, and he studied everything and looked at everything, and we had like a really deep, meaningful conversation, and he really appreciated. He understood like at least what I was trying to communicate in the standpoint of like I just want people who experience my work and the work that, the images that I've made and the videos that I've done. I want them to be able to feel like they're a little bit inside the process of it so that they can understand what it was like to be in it. And he really got that. And so it was actually kind of perfect that through the roundtable, I was like pushed back to Shrugi, and, he shares what he's never really publicly shared before in that interview, which I don't, not to spoil it, but like I think it's a great read for people who want to know the history of skating in San Francisco and those companies. Um, and with Kevin, him and I connected very, very deeply over the pandemic, and had Zoom calls, and he was helping me try to figure out my first book right before my eyes. And we were having these calls, and he got his first diagnosis, um, and I was kind of going through some health stuff. So I felt like a real kinship with him and with what he was experiencing in a very profound way. That if you have a friend who something happens to, and you're sort of adjacent to them or checking in, you'll relate to that. But we basically just have this really lovely long distance relationship. And it was very clear that he was just trying to find ways to contribute and participate as he was getting more sick. And I was just like, well, to me, it's like Anthony G. Papalardo, the writer, Ted Barrow, and then the dream was like if I could get Wilkins to do an essay. And it's a little obtuse with Wilkins because he's not street skater. Um, he's a transition guy, and he's not really in the Embarcadero scene. But his purview is always so special and so unique. And even I've gone back. I have Zoom calls of all the development stuff we do, and I went back and watched everything with him, and what he pitches in February of what he wants to write is exactly what he ended up writing in August. He went a little dark for a while, and right at the very end he was like, well, wait, I'm at my computer right now, and I was like, okay, stop, we can't ship the book yet, because I was sort of assuming he wasn't going to make it, and I didn't want to push too hard, didn't want to make him feel guilty or anything.
Yeah.
But he had one last push in him, and his brother shared that Kevin shared with him that he was really proud and happy that he did make that contribution, and his family was able to get the book prior to his passing, and that was super emotional and meaningful for me to just know that that he saw his that contribution.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so
Every essay in there is great. Um, so the other main thing I wanted to talk about is what's going on with the Plaza demolition reconstruction, because was that kind of the big spark to get this book put
you
out? Is that kind of the
all Yeah, I mean, that's all credit to Ted Barrow. I think Ted is just skateboarding's lucky to have Ted, as someone who's an advocate to help articulate to on a civic level and a public level, the issues that are going on or the significance of something. But Ted started going and attending these meetings in 2024, and that's when he kind of learned, like, oh, this is coming and it's not going to be good, which is why he was like, you got to do the book now, because if it's done by next fall, that's probably when the final decision will get made. And lo and behold, that week that we announced the book, they voted 8-5, the San Francisco Arts Commission, I believe, to dismantle the fountain, move it to another place, and try to understand if it was salvageable. Um, so the plaza will be completely demolished. I think there is an interest in trying to find like some aspect of skateboarding, um, to be incorporated, but I'm not in those conversations. I've just heard that people continue to say that that's important. Whether the city follows through with that, whether that happens, I have no idea. But the bricks will be gone, the stairs will be gone, the fountain will be gone.
Oh, I thought it was only the
Um,
fountain. I didn't know it was the whole plaza.
yeah, the whole plaza will be renovated. I
Damn.
think like the end of 2027. I think that's right. But I think the fountain will start to go out sooner than that. So,
Wow.
it's
That's heavy.
yeah, I mean it's very, every time I'm in San Francisco, I go to Fort Point below the Golden Gate Bridge where they film Vertigo, and I go to EMB. Even though EMB is like a little different, but if you stand in certain places, it's
Yeah.
exactly the same. And
You can still roll on the bricks. Last
a
time I
hundred
was
percent,
there, we went at night and I just did big laps around there and just
yeah,
the
yeah,
sound, these you can
yeah,
still see the pock marks where the seawall used to
exactly,
be,
yeah,
like a lot of
yeah,
it's still there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
wow, I didn't know they were doing the whole plaza. I thought it was only the fountain.
No, the 100% the bricks will be gone. Yeah,
That sucks.
yeah. And it's, so I think the hope for me, and the hope I think with Ted is like not memorializing, but the city as a city recognizing the significance of its skateboard history.
Yeah.
I mean, look, New York revitalized the Brooklyn banks.
Yeah.
Like that's a significant thing for a city to say, hey, we understand that skateboarding had its own, movement at this place, and we feel like that's a part of our identity as a city. So let's make sure the bricks are what they used to be. And I think, San Francisco is in an identity crisis because there's so much money there from new money and new people who are all enamored with technology and, oh, we need to make things more efficient and this and that. And Ted and I we talk about this a lot, but it's like, so let's say they put a park in the plaza, a park, like Dolores Park. So you got Dolores Park, and what does everyone do at Dolores Park? They sit on a blanket with just the people they know, or they put their headphones on and read. And it's a little bit of an isolated type of experience. And the beauty of Embarcadero was that even if you were vibed, which many people were, you were still like, you'd meet another kid who was getting vibed, and maybe you'd make a connection. Or for me, I met all these people and was exposed to all these things. So I just think skateboard plazas really are, I think they're wildly influential beyond the ways that we think they are.
Hmm. Agreed, for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, and then what's all the info on the photo show you have coming up? Because I saw the Instagram post looked insane.
Yeah.
Like kind of like curating all the images with Ted and stuff.
Yeah. So Ted's the co-curator of that show, appropriately so. Um, there is a gallery in San Francisco called GCS Agency that's on Jackson Street. It's actually right around the corner from where Hubba Hideout used to be. It's
Sick.
by the Safeway, that's right in that area of San Francisco. And Victor Gonzalez runs that gallery. We pitched him the book as a show. Adidas came on to present the show, um, and really, it's more than a photo show. I mean, I'll have a lot of raw footage there on different places. But what's really unique about GCS's footprint is they have a whole like 80-foot window space on 100 California. So there'll be a big mural that's like frame grabs and posters, and then televisions with raw footage playing 24/7 in a building that we used to skate. And then down the street will be an exhibition that is, in essence, it kind of takes you a very light version of my origin story that kind of takes me, to San Jose and San Francisco through back to the city, a little bit of a plan B moment, and then just a massively consuming section of Embarcadero, which kind of pushes to a little resolve with hieroglyphics and, that connection there that I think speaks to that relationship between hip hop and skateboarding that really came out of that moment, that really came out of like Javante's taste of connecting with Dell and the sacredness of the tapes that he was getting and how that impacted all of us, at that time.
And how long will the show be up for?
So show opens November 21st. I'll be there for the opening, then I'll be there on the 22nd and the 23rd from 1 to 6. I'll just be signing and hanging out. Ted's going to give walking tours of skate spots and the architecture right around there that will end at the exhibit. And then the show runs until right now, probably January 11th. It could get extended. But gcsagency.com/epicenter is where you would kind of see the schedule and see a breakdown of the show. But I think there's like one area of the show that I'm really excited about people experiencing, which is like there's a little projector room. We're kind of calling it the chapel, and it'll have a little curtain, and there's some raw footage that I found that I definitely have never posted, and there's some stuff that people have seen, but it's hard to know like, oh, I've seen that, maybe I haven't. So like the most sacred stuff will play in that little chapel, and then there'll just be a ton of other stuff all around the show, and you know
I mean, that's insane for, to not only to, people got to go see your show, but then they can just walk a few blocks away and like
yes.
might be your last chance to roll on the hallowed ground, the
I
hallowed.
mean, I'm like, Mikey's like, he's gonna get, he's like, are you gonna film? And I was like, I want to. He's like, you're gonna be too busy. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, if guys are at the bricks and I bring my camera, which I will, like, it's gonna be hard for me not to try to get a couple clips.
You're gonna bring the
You
old
know,
Hell 8.
I have a new Canon camera. My friend Logan Triplet is actually in the process of like restoring an A1 digital for me so that I
Amazing.
can shoot with that.
Amazing.
but I have a Canon that has a fisheye, and I've kind of tuned it to have a setting that really looks like my setup used to look like.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been filming a little bit with that camera. So
It's funny. I just saw, as the algorithm would have it, last night Ryan Bertino posted, he must have just got your
yeah,
book and he posted
he
that
did.
classic
Yeah,
frontside nose slide. And he just
yeah.
wrote such like a beautiful, heartfelt thing.
Oh
And just in
man,
the last sentence was like, I don't care what anyone tells you, the early 90s was the best era in skateboarding. And I'm like, that's how I feel, but that's because that's where I grew up. So,
yeah,
I don't want to be like, it
yeah.
was the best, but I'm kind of like, when stuff like this all comes out, I'm kind of like, it kind of was that kind of, you
I
know?
mean, it was interesting. I was interviewing someone for something else, and they're a radio DJ, and I was talking about the '90s for music, and he is saying that it was like the best era for music. It's like the
Yeah.
best decade for music
It kind
ever.
of went hand in hand. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to dismiss that, but he said because of my job as a radio DJ, I can't say that because then I'm not genuinely in the moment today listening to music today.
Yeah.
Because if I think that the '90s is the best, then nothing else can do that. So I think that for people who skated, who draw inspiration and have this nostalgic, connection to it, I think it's easy to say the '90s are the best because of that moment of transition. There's a moment in the '90s in '90 and '91 right before flip tricks into nose slides and stuff are happening and tail slides and nollie flips like right before that, and it's really '90 into '91. It's kind of a little bit yeah, it's right around there because I was actually I found a crazy tape which I'm just going to have the whole thing playing on a small monitor at the show. But every trick is a little bit more attainable for a very small moment. So I feel like in the early '90s, everyone kind of felt like they were participating together. Like in the jump ramp days when you didn't skate transition, but you could skate a jump ramp, and you kind of felt like, yeah, this is skateboarding because it was like pretty much anyone could kind of do it. And I think the people that go through that moment into the technical aspect of it to have experienced being in it and then to move through that next section where so much gets weeded out, it's hard to not be like that was the best
Yeah.
because there's so much inherent pride in being a part of that.
Yeah. That's a brilliant take. Um, well, last thing I'll say is, I mean, thank you for making this, your
Yeah,
contributions, and I'll
that's an
also
honor.
say this is like a great example of how high quality and great like a book, a memory can be. Uh,
Mm,
and I hope it raises for someone who, I make zines and what I've worked in publishing forever. It's just great if the to see the bar get raised, to see something with
yeah,
so much, I mean, just so much planning and stuff went into that. It kind of like tripped me out. And
yeah.
when I saw like what you're planning for the show, I'm like, man, Jacob went went deep on this one. Like just
I
the,
mean,
the application of like little inset of the photo and
yeah,
the poster with hundreds. I mean, I haven't even, and the gatefolds in there
yeah,
have hundreds of screen grabs. I was right before the
yeah,
interview, I was just kind of going one by one. I was like, I haven't even like,
yeah.
scratched the
Scratch this,
surface
and
on
that's how I
every
felt. Like,
screen grab.
yeah, and it's
So
tough too because the book, I'm self-publishing, and the book's not cheap to make. So I'm in it for the long haul. Like
yeah,
the book has to do really well for me to get whole again, and I just believe in that. And but I also believe that like I probably could have charged more for the book, but I looked at that bigger number and I was like, I think this is $100 book, but I don't think skaters are going to feel comfortable clicking buy on $100 for a book. So we're at 80, which my designer is like, that's crazy, mate. And I'm like, but I just don't want to. I just feel like it's got to be palatable enough so that you've invested, and then when you have it on your shelf, it really has that value. But I also really believe, just to say it, because a lot of people make things themselves, and like the nature of collaboration is that sometimes you exceed what your own ideas of something can be. And I've been super fortunate to, have a career as a director, um, and that is a total collaborative landscape. And working with a team on the book, it becomes way better. And then you have other critical people. So I think when you surround yourself with people who are critical, who have good taste, inherently it starts to make the product better. Because I don't think it's enough to just say, "Oh, I want to make a book." I think you can, if you want to just put something out, then of course you can. It's never been easier to do that till now. But I think if you really want something to say, you got to kind of kill your darlings. There's right before my eyes, there's one photo at EMB. But that's because I couldn't, two photos actually, but or maybe three, two small ones and one big one with James. But I couldn't do any more than that because the book wasn't about that. It had to keep moving. So that was tough for me back then because you see what I was sitting on, but I was like, I can't do that for this book. That's not this book. So I think a lot of it is like really curating yourself and holding a high standard and being like, hey, I think I want to push this further.
Yeah.
But I just want people to hold it and just feel like it represents the skaters in that era that I believe changed things. And I was fortunate enough to document them.
Yeah. Is that a skateboard on the couch next to you? Is that a limited edition for the
Yeah,
gotta come to the show to get one?
I just got these in.
Sick.
The little collab with Girl
Oh,
that I
nice.
did. For what I'll do is it's there'll be 43 of these, and they're all signed and numbered by me and Mikey, and they'll only be available at the show. I hate doing that, but also like shipping, and so I ship all my books myself. I do all that stuff, so it's just like it starts to become a little bit complicated. If we don't sell out, then I'll push it to the website. Or if people DM me and they're really like, "Hey, I really want it," I'm sure we could figure something out. If it's hard to get to the show, which I respect that. I don't want people to get boxed out. But but yeah, there'll be t-shirts. I'll have some of the posters that come with the books. I'll have some additional posters if people want to buy those. Then there'll be the boards. Eric Merrill, who made that beautiful painting, will have some of his own larger prints of that. And yeah,
Sick. Cool.
yeah,
Well, look forward to seeing the show. And I mean, we can wrap it up. I don't want to give away really anything in the books other than, I just want people to, yeah, get one for themselves and experience it in person.
yeah.
So
Yeah, well, thank you for all your
what do you want to say?
support and
Of
being an
course.
advocate and digging it
Yeah.
and
No, I love that,
you know,
was it 30 over 30 years since kind of this subject matter, and it's incredible.
34.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the footage that I found yesterday, I didn't find it yesterday, but I basically found a clip of Mikey that's 23 minutes long, and there's one cut. So I stopped the camera once,
Yeah.
and it's empty,
It's
and it's
so,
just me and
yeah.
him filming, and you can hear our dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, because we filmed as kids, but I don't think any of us had the wherewithal to like just film I mean, we did film some stuff, but it's like looking
Yeah.
back at where you were and who you were with, it's like the fact that you left it on either absentmindedly or on purpose is,
Well,
all these
I
years
learned
later.
I learned young, like sometimes in some of those situations, you just don't want to ever miss a moment.
Yeah.
Ternowski kind of taught me that.
Nice.
Um, so I have some tapes that's just roll. It just rolls, and then I just never think about it.
Yeah.
And in this case, I just showed my wife this morning, and she was just like, it was so compelling. Because in the middle of it, I'm like, I gotta go, Mikey, I gotta go. And he's like, nah, not yet. He's like, one more, come on.
Sick. That's so
It's
cool.
it's crazy. It's good. So
Cool. Well, I'll let you go. I'm sure you got a ton to do leading up to, was it like a week
just
away from the
yeah, just editing
yeah.
raw. I'm editing all the raw footage now for all the monitors and everything. So
Awesome. Well, I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for your
thank you.
time. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be